Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video I wanted to go ahead and approach this a bit differently than we normally do, and instead of covering a specific mod edit, we're going to approach this more from a troubleshooting tips and tricks type mentality. We'll also go over how to utilize some of the resources that are available to you and things like that. But again, just a bit of a different feeling than our normal catacombs video or such. But with all that said, as usual, if you guys are enjoying this kind of content, make sure you like and subscribe, helps everybody out. And with that out of the way, let's just jump right into the meat and potatoes of what we're dealing with today. I'm essentially using a Discord user as a scapegoat for this video, just because it will make a good example of things that you need to watch out for, things you should take advantage of, ways you can help yourself when you get into the thick of it with, D2R modding and stuff. There's no offense or ill will or anything like that meant. Again, just a good example for everybody. So with that said, what we're going to do here is I've tossed his mod data into my custom mod folder, just so, again, we can use this all as a learning experience here. And we're going to go ahead and hop forward and show you what the issue is. So the issue the mod author is having is that they have added a new item into the game that grants a new skill on that item. So I've created a little cheater recipe here that if we put a scroll of identify in, will create us this charm. And as you can see, it gives plus 19 to an evil force. So that's issue number one, is that he can't figure out why the string won't appear correctly. Obviously, that should display his new skill name. Issue number two is that he doesn't seem to have an icon or anything for it, but we can see it here as an invisible icon, but again, says evil force, has no description or anything. So obviously something's wrong here. We have no icon, no strings, but as you'll see soon, he has entries and stuff in there for it. It's just not set up quite correctly. So this is the problem. This is something we're going to solve in this video, but also along the way we're going to show you how we solve that, what resources we use, because you'll run into stuff like this with varying setups, especially as you're new, kind of regardless of what you're doing. With that understood, let's go ahead and close the game and jump right into the issue. So again, the first issue we know about is that the strings are broken. So let's go ahead and open up the mod files, and let's take a look at these strings, and let's see if we notice anything kind of wrong there. So we're going to go ahead and hop into skills.json, see what he added there. He most likely added it to the bottom, so let's scroll there. I got some metamorphosis tooltips here, probably doesn't need. Maybe he added it from previous. Anyways, looks like these are going to be the ones we care about. Skill name Fire Hurricane and skill desk Fire Hurricane. Using IDs 50,000, 50,001. Let's go ahead and double check that though. So we're going to go back to that folder and we're going to open up skills.txt and skills desktop text. So again, we're going to scroll to the bottom. He likely added it there. And there we go. So Fire Hurricane is that skill that should be on that charm and that we're trying to kind of troubleshoot now. And we can see that for the skill desk entry, he gave it Fire Hurricane as the skill desk, same name as the skill. So let's go ahead and just make sure that's correct here. We're going to open up skill desk, and again, we're going to scroll to the bottom, assuming you just kept everything down there. And there we go. So it is named correctly here, and then we have our string entries up here for string names and all that. So what we're going to do is I did notice here that if you see his string, it's actually a lowercase n for the name, but in the file he told it was a capital N. So this kind of stuff does matter, because just like item codes and stuff, some things are treated as case sensitive. So a lowercase, let's say you have an item code that's lowercase a01 is going to be technically different than the item code capital A01. So for the same reason, this kind of stuff can matter for the keys. So just to make sure that's not an issue, we're going to go ahead and copy and paste that in for the key name, and tackle that. Now, another thing that might be an issue is this is a common ID I give as an example to use in my video guides, just as like a starter base. Gives you plenty of room from the kind of retail entries, but still plenty of room for yourself, up to the 65,000 limit explained in that video guide. So anyways, what we want to do here is another issue is that he may be using multiple strings. And actually what I should be doing is I did mention that video guide. So what we're going to do here is we're going to hop to D2RModding.com. We're going to head over to that guide section, and let me just pull up the string files guide, and we're going to take a look at that. I'm going to mute myself real quick, and we're just going to fast forward past the introduction, and we can see here that this is the guide I mentioned, and right within the first 60 seconds or so, we got the text info on the screen that will display some of the limits and rules that we need to worry about. And as we can see here on that third entry, string IDs are shared between JSON files. So he's using this ID 50,000 for the skill name. We want to make sure it's not being used in any of those other JSON string files he edited. And then also, we want to make sure that it's under the 65,000 limit, but it is, so we know that's not an issue. And he's not using any color codes, so even if he had a misformed color code, that's not an issue either. So we're just looking for those shared IDs, see if that's potentially an issue. We've already fixed the capitalization on the names. The desk one was already capitalized, so that one's fine. So let's go back to that mod folder. Again, data, local, language strings, and let's open up item names. And we're going to scroll to the bottom, see if there's any 50,000s. And looks like there probably is. Yep, we got some here. So those are going to conflict with the IDs for the item names because he's trying to use the same ID in multiple files. So that is definitely one issue. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this to 51,000. We'll just edit those two, so now they're different IDs. Let's go ahead and save that. And then I'm just curious, since we found one, is there more that are using that ID? And we can just double check that real quick. Nope, doesn't look like he's added any new ones here. And then let's go ahead and check levels. That's the last one. And yep, we got some 50,000. So let's see if we got the same 50,001 and stuff. And we do. So you can see these IDs are being used several times, and they will conflict with each other, meaning not all of them will work. So we got 50,000 here in levels. Obviously we changed it in skill, but we also have it in item names. So what we're going to do is we're going to change the levels entries. We can change those to 52,000, and I'm not going to do that for all of them because it's just a demo video, but this will get all those levels working correctly again, because now they all have unique IDs like they're supposed to. So again, this is just one demonstration of, I know it's tempting to skip all those basic video guides, go straight to the Catacombs series where it shows you exactly how to do the things, but if you don't understand all the basics, then it makes it really hard to kind of go out on your own and understand what the issue is. You'll be constantly relying on others to tell you kind of where you went wrong. But if you just watch those basics, even though the microphone quality kind of sucked back in the day, I do apologize for that, it will give you a better understanding of why your edits have certain issues. So anyways, even though I said we wouldn't do it, I went ahead and updated all the IDs anyways. So just a quick recap. Item names, we're leaving using that 50,000 ID range, that's fine. Level or skills.json, we changed to 51,000 ID range, so he can start using those. And then for levels, we updated to the 52,000 ID range. So between that change and then the capitalization fix, we should be able to see the strings updated in game now. So just to confirm that theory, that those were the issues going on with that, we're going to go ahead and just hop back into game and see if our strings have magically appeared. And if we hover over it, there we go. We can see Fire Hurricane. If we go over the item, plus 19 to Fire Hurricane. So those were indeed the issues with the strings, and we've got that all sorted out. Awesome. We can see the unique item itself. Its name is shown, Flaming Hot Balls. Gotta love mod authors. But we can see that obviously we only tackled the string. Still got an invisible icon. Still kind of in a weird place potentially. So let's explore that. And for that, we'll just go ahead and exit the game again. And we're going to switch focus to the data guide a little bit. And the reason we're going to do this is twofold. One, it's just underutilized in general and will help explain a lot of things. So for that, we'll head to the mod tools section. And there's two versions. There's the official unedited version from Blizzard, and then there's the optimized one that I've attempted to improve over time. We'll have some clarifications on certain errors that were made in their data guide, as well as some more general info for modders and things like that. And I just think generally easier to use with the different navigation and stuff. Anyways, so what we're going to do is we're going to just go and select the download now option. It'll just pop it up in a new window, and then we can bookmark this or whatever if you want in the future. But this will be the data guide we care about, and the reason we care about it is because, again, we know our problem is focused on specifically the icon, and we either know already from just kind of browsing during our copy paste of the skill entry, or we can read about it pretty quickly if we just do Control F for icon. That we got a couple entries here that will control where the skill icon is placed, and specifically what we care about is this icon cell option. So if I go ahead and search for that, I can actually see here in the optimized guide at least, then it's going to give me some additional info about what that means. So determines the icon asset for displaying the skill using the frame number of the sprite, see common folders. It will use frame +1 for the when pressed icon visual. The sprite path can be found in this location. And again, you can click these. So if I go to common folders, it's going to take me to that location. If I click Profile HD, it's going to highlight that entry, show me what's important. So again, this is why I recommend the data guide. It can make understanding a lot of this very easy, and then also provide you quick links to, for example, the modders info section, which, as you just saw, is going to break down a lot of the programs you can use, where you can find files, what folders and stuff are commonly accessed, all sorts of file limits that are known about, as well as a link to all the current video guides and everything like that. So a real powerhouse of a guide in general. It'll break down all the tables you might need to reference. Anything you might need to know will basically be explained here. So I'm going to push it hard on you guys for that reason in this video, because yeah, it's a great utility to use, and just wouldn't underestimate it. But anyways, with that lecture out of the way, we can understand that if we look at the entry here for Fire Hurricane, it's assigned 0 for the page, row, column, list, everything. And the reason for that is because he cloned Hurricane, changed it to a fire type, but it's no longer a class skill. So that means, all classes have a different icon pack, which is explained in these, Profile HD, the sprite path can be found and changed. So if we open that file, let's see if he has that in his mod. I believe he does. There we go. And we're just going to scroll down. I forget what the exact entry is called. I apologize, but it shouldn't take me long to find it. Alright, so we got skill icon file names, and so as you can see, every class has their own set of icons, but if it's a no class, then they will have a general set of icons. And the issue is that if we were to open that sprite, which we're going to do here in a minute, we're going to see that that sprite doesn't have frame 48, because once more in the data guide it says that what that really means is the frame number of the sprite, and then frame +1 for the when pressed alternate visual for that. So once more, we're going to go back. If you don't have already, we can scroll down to the data guide. We can find out how the heck do we open sprites, and we can see that we're going to use SpriteEdit for that. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up that app real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and take a look at this file so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. And then we'll make the edit in real time so everything kind of makes sense. So let's go ahead and we'll just open up a retail copy. So we're going to go to global UI, and then once more we're finding this info. We need to go to spells, Amazon, etc. So we're going to spells. We're actually trying to copy a druid spell because it was hurricane, so we're going to go there. And these are the skill icons that will be used for that. Obviously, depending on what tab and what mode and stuff it is, will have different ones. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and just copy that over, and then we're going to go to the sub menu, and we'll copy and paste that in for now. But I want to open the sub menu one because this is the one it's actually using right now, since it's not assigned to any class. And once more, if we open that, we can see that it only has 40 frames, yet the files are telling it to use the 48th frame. So you can obviously where that would cause a problem and where it would come up blank. So we can go to the current frame here, and we can see, the current frames that are available, and it will start to make sense why this is kind of the general subclass menu ones. These are just kind of the utility type skills that anybody can use, unsummon and pick up and town portal and all that kind of oddball stuff. So what we need to do if we want to properly add that hurricane icon onto the skill is that we need to export everything, import everything to add the icons onto this. I'm going to see if I can speed run this for you guys to make it a little simpler. We'll see how successful that is. So I'm going to open up the Druid icon. We're going to try to find the Hurricane one real quick. It should be on 48. We know that was the copy and pasted setting. So there we go. And I'm going to go ahead and say I want to export just this frame. And then we're going to go ahead and save it as hurricane icon demo. Alright, and then what we now need to do is we need to open up that general submenu one, which I now have to travel back to. That's annoying. Okay, 1 second, guys. Sorry. Okay, we need to open this one, and we want to export all of this because, again, now we're trying to add 2 new frames onto it for the icon and then the wind pressed icon. So we're going to, whoops, I don't want to save, I want to export. Guys, I'm getting all flustered trying to hurry up. And we'll go ahead and put this in pictures as well, I guess, and then we're just going to call this hurricane icon sprite demo. And we can save it as a PNG, that's fine. And then let's go ahead and get that opened. Alright, so we can see, I shouldn't have named a hurricane icon sprite, I don't know what I was thinking. Anyways, this is how it's actually laid out in the game. Again, as the sprites video guide explains, anything that uses multiple frames is laid out horizontally. So if we really want to add 2 frames, then we need to add them horizontally and extend this file out. If we go to like image size and we see the current image size, we can see it's 5280 by 130, and we know that we have 40 icons. So we can do some basic math here, 5280 divided by 40, and we know that each icon takes up 132 pixels. So we're adding 2 new icons. 132 times 2 is 264. So we need to add 264 to 5280, so let's find out what that is. And we need to make our new size 5544, and obviously we don't need to change the total height because it's horizontal. So with that understood, now we can go to the canvas size again, use GIMP or whatever. We're going to shift everything, anchor it to the left so it doesn't increase that. We're going to change that to 5544. I didn't miss. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and add that, and as you can see, it adds that new space to the right. Now what we need to do is we need to open up our actual hurricane icon. So once more, sorry about all my other stuff. We're going to open that icon. I'm too lazy to make the pressed icon visual for this demo, so just pretend that this second frame is has this black border around for the when pressed visual. But that's essentially it. We've added our 2 new icons, and now this new updated sprite is done. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. We'll just save it with a 2 at the end. Alright, and now we can go back to the sprite editor and import this. So I'm going to go to File, Import, we just need to find the sprite. Number 2. There we go. And you can see it's a little wonky right now because we haven't told it it's actually 42 frames now. So if we were to go to like frame 20 or something, you can see there's clearly misalignment and stuff. So we'll just update it to 42, and now everything looks proper again. If we go to one of our new frames, we can see our new hurricane symbol. So this is exactly what we want. Now if we go back into the game, we go to save as, we go find our mod folder. Mods, my custom mod, and we go pop this in HD global UI spells, and he didn't have it here, so we're gonna go ahead and add it, and I don't think it's in a folder, but I'm gonna double check that in Cask real quick. Okay, it is, so I was wrong. So we're gonna go ahead and create that folder real quick. And then we want to name it skillicon just like the game does, because we haven't changed the JSON file for that or anything. So, I know that was a bit complicated, but just to recap, we had to add frames and stuff. We had to mess with things because our icon cell told us it was on frame 48 for class skills, which simply didn't exist. Now that it does exist, we can tell it to use frame 41, for example, and this will be the new entry for the file. So we can go ahead and set that, and now once more, to test everything out, our theory, if we hop in the game, as long as I didn't forget something, which is definitely possible, then we should see that icon now has a visual in game. And there we go. So now we can see everything looks properly. If we wanted to change the position, that's all going to depend on the list row, list column, all this stuff, where you actually decide to put it. But we got the icon correctly assigned by updating the sprite and the frames and everything. We got the strings updated, so everything's displaying properly. We are going to end the video here. He has some homework to do, however, because you'll notice when you go to actually use the skill, that no visuals or anything appear. So that likely means he's also skipped the references JSON video guide, which explains how you need to reference missiles and things like that to update the HD visuals. Real quickly, I'll just go ahead and show that. So if we just go to data, HD, missiles.json, we should probably see if he's added those. I can actually just check real quick. Okay, so fire hurricane, expansion, fire hurricane, and so it looks like he's added it for this missile, and I don't know much about his missile setup. I'm not going to dive that deeply into it in this video, but this is how you can start to continue with the investigation process, depending on how badly things have gone for your particular edit. And it looks like here he's using capital letters. So again, this is probably a likely issue of need to copy and paste things and use exact casing and stuff like that, which has been a common theme throughout these files. So we can go ahead and test that real quick. If that's not the issue, oh well, as far as the video goes. I'm again just trying to show some investigative measures, how we can fix things, approach thinking about things logically. If you know the issues with the strings, let's start with the basics and let's investigate what might be going on there, and just taking things one step at a time. So let's go see if this is fixed. Not confident it is. I haven't looked too much through the files, but we'll see. Alright, so yeah, we still got some hankiness going on there. He might be missing states or serve do functions or all sorts of stuff. But again, this has been a demonstration, at least on the core things, on how common mistakes can creep up. Again, such as capitalizations, things like that, reusing IDs, changing it from a class skill to a non-class skill, and that changes other things that you might not expect, such as the frame of the sprite it's using and all this fun stuff. But once more, all those resources are available to you through the data guide, through the video guides. We have no problem helping people around here. We just also expect that a certain amount of effort has been put in on your own end to understand some of the basics, some of the tools, etc., so that you can help yourself and don't always have to rely on others either. But yeah, feel free to hit us up in Discord if you still have questions or anything like that. We're more than happy to help. But I hope this has been a somewhat enjoyable, even if different, experience just to understand how you can go about resolving those types of problems. Thanks for being so patient and listening to me yammer along. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.